Hello, everyone. I'm Councilmember Emmanuel Remy, and I'm pleased to be joined today by Columbus City Schools Principal for the Columbus Preparatory School for Girls, Miss Stephanie Patton. Welcome, Miss Patton.
Hi, thank you for having me.
And I should say, in full disclosure, my wife happens to work for you at the school, but I certainly wanted to get you on today to talk to you a little bit about the impact of COVID-19 as it's had on the school from both the perspective of your teachers and of your students. So thank you for coming by today.
Thank you.
Of course, you've been put into a situation where you have had to adapt to using distance learning as a means of teaching. Our students. Parents have now had the opportunity to experience firsthand the realities of this method of teaching, but many of our residents may not have kids in school, so they may not understand kind of the complications that may come along with it. So I'd like to offer you the opportunity to discuss some of the challenges that you've had to overcome, and then some of the challenges that still may be present with this new way of learning. So thank you. I'll go ahead and get started with some of the questions. Could you, first of all, tell us a little bit more about the Columbus Preparatory School for Girls?
Sure. So we are a product of Columbus City Schools. We are one of the only all-girl middle schools that's public in the state of Ohio, and what we're finding out in the nation. So that's very special. We look at how girls learn, and we do research-based practices on making sure that they're prepared for the workforce in terms of leadership and also in male-dominated career fields. So we're grades 6 through 8, and we're a lottery process through Columbus City Schools, and we achieve great things. So very proud.
I noticed, I got to brag a little bit, but you guys have some of the highest scores in the district, which is really cool. You do a great job.
Yes, so, our students work really hard. Thank you.
Yeah, so prior to March 12th, 2020, when the whole world changed as far as education goes, what type of experience did you have in providing distance learning for your students?
So we use basic technology. Our teachers use Google Classroom. Our students were learning how to code, how to use different programs and software. So we did incorporate and infuse technology into our current lessons. I think the difference now is that it's done in isolation, and so without the in-person support and the guidance, it just takes a couple of extra steps to really accomplish some of that same level of instruction. So in learning technology, not only as adults, it's not as much as of our generation as the students. So everyone adapting at the same time, because school, unfortunately, stopped without much notice. So there wasn't a whole lot of time to prepare for the sudden change, although we did have technology incorporated previously to the pandemic.
Do you feel that you've been able to adapt a plan that's reaching, most of your students or all of your students?
Yeah, so we set out a goal to make 100% contact with all our families, just to make sure that they were doing okay, that they were well. I think that's the first part. You have to make sure that people are doing okay before you can function in a different manner. So after we did our outreach, we definitely looked at what resources were needed. Columbus City Schools did an excellent job in providing Google Chromebooks to students. They had hotspots available for families that didn't have internet connection. So I think working with partners, the city and the community, we're able to get most of the resources that are needed for our students. And so as we're learning their needs, we are now trying to be innovative and making sure that those needs are met so that we're equitable and that our students can still go on to be competitive and not fall behind, with an achievement gap.
That makes a lot of sense. So how have you been able to adapt a learning plan that's been used to reach all your students?
I think that we did a survey just to see, again, what were the needs, who had We also looked at just the environment for the student. We have a lot of parents who are still essential workers and they have to go into work. And so we don't want to cause any additional stress. So we've opened up office hours for parents. I do parent weekly meetings. And then we give a time frame where the students can, do the work outside of school hours, along with getting during the school hours support from their teachers via video lessons and such. So we've been able to just be really flexible based on the needs of our student population and their parents. And so the feedback that we're getting is that parents are appreciative that, we're doing whatever it takes. And we understand that this is something that was not, foreseen. And we just, we have to adjust to make sure that the students get their education.
What are some of the challenges that you've experienced to get to this point?
I think the outreach and communication, having hundreds of students to make personal contact with, and then navigating technology issues, aligning them with resources, it's very time consuming. And so trying to get everybody to the same point in a short amount of time, we're finding is probably the biggest barrier. Once we get students logged in and connected with their teachers, they're doing well. I think it's just that initial connection, and then really we have to do a better job at communicating with the parents on how to navigate some of these technology programs and resources that we have, so that we're all working together for the common goal.
That's great. What's made you most proud about your teachers and about your students?
So from day one, my teachers stepped into action. And so they were making phone calls. They were reaching out to make sure that, students' needs were met. If they needed meals, if they needed technology, social emotional support. A lot of our girls were experiencing anxiety. So setting up clubs, we're doing a club day this week with a dance party. So I think that they're stretching themselves in terms of just being that classroom teacher, and to being, prevalent in their lives and other means, and helping parents cope during this time, and along with students. So my staff has been working basically nonstop to make sure that our kids are going to come out on top of this thing and survive. So I'm very proud of my staff for that.
What about the students? Have they met the challenge and reached out and done what you would expect them to do?
Yes. So you worry about, perseverance in a time when you're self-monitored. As adults, we can be off task, and it can be very tempting to do other things instead of, what our daily routine was before the pandemic. So our students have stepped up. We have a great engagement rate. We have a tool where students can send positive messages to teachers, to each other. And so some of their inspirational comments and quotes that are coming out of this has been phenomenal. So, kudos to my students. They are working hard. They're navigating. If they don't understand something, they're sending notes to their teachers, asking, just very involved. So my community has definitely stepped up, parents, students, and staff, to navigate through these difficult times.
That's awesome. If somebody wanted more information about the school, where would they go?
You can look at our website. It's www.ccsoh.us/Puma. Columbus City Preparatory School for Girls. You can just also look at that through the Columbus City website. And again, we're always looking for community partners. We partner with Franklin Conservatory, different universities, lawyers, judges. Any exposure that we can give to our young ladies to help them is a great resource. So even though it's a different type of learning and connection, we still welcome any support from the community and partners at large.
That's awesome. We'll make sure that website's put on this video as well. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
I just want to say thank you again to my staff. I believe that I have the hardest working staff in Columbus City, and I'm very proud of them. They go above and beyond. They're very supportive of me during this time, parents and students. I definitely, again, want to thank my community and stakeholders. I have wonderful parents who are very supportive and are doing the best that they can, and my students for stepping up to the plate. So again, with Teacher Appreciation coming up next week, I just want to say anyone who wants to give a shout out to any of the staff at Columbus City Prep for Girls, I would appreciate it as well, because my community is well deserving. So thank you.
That's awesome. Well, on behalf of my colleagues at Columbus City Council, thank you, Principal Patton, for taking the time to share with us what you're doing and how your school's operating in the current times. And we wish you all the best for the rest of the school year. Thank you.
Thank you as much. I appreciate it.
Have a great day.
You too.